What is going on, guys? It's Mr. Banks coming at you live, and today I'm going to share my secrets to trading SPY. I want to go over some live trades that we took today, 200% bangers on SPY. While everyone was looking to the downside, we banked on calls to the upside and flipped long. Now, as I said before, I will be sharing some of my secrets to help make you a consistent and better and profitable trader. I'll be going over levels, timeframes to use, and the strategy used as to why we took calls today. But first, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of this educational content I put out to make you a better trader. Now, let me go ahead and share my screen with you guys. Now, as I said before, we are going over some live trades that we took. Took SPY calls twice here, guys. As you know, I am in the Wolves of Wealth Discord. And as you can see here, give plenty of information for everybody in the team to bank. First, give a big shout out to everyone. Absolutely killed it today. So just want to give a big shout out to the team. Absolutely banking today. But you guys came here to learn. Now, secrets to trading SPY. Why do we take calls? Well, the thing that we have to look at first and foremost is to zoom out. What is going on the higher time frames, right? What is going on the macro trends? Now, as you know, we've been selling off for quite a while now, for the past couple of weeks. Been selling since 440, coming into a demand zone. Now, if you guys know, demand is where buying happens, supply is where selling happens. But as you guys can see right here, for flipping onto the daily, I mean, this is a very big, massive, massive supply demand zone flip. So if we go back here, really all the way back to May and then all the way back to February of 2022. So almost 2 years ago, this zone has been very huge here on SPY. Now you could see here, there was a lot of selling, a lot of supply within this area until we finally broke out of it. And now we're coming back and retesting it. Now, as you guys know, stocks do this all the time. They will break out, retest, break out, retest. That should be basic knowledge given when you're looking to take trades. Is this a breakout retest type of level? It is. It's actually a huge breakout retest zone where we're having a supply demand flip, right? So supply, we kept selling off, finally broke out. We're getting into this demand flip. Perfect. Now, what is a big level that we're watching within this demand flip? Well, 414 we know is a very massive level. This really goes back all the way till March of last year. And we saw it intraday coming in once we were getting back into this demand. So guys, look at the daily, look at the weekly. What is that macro trend, right? What is the bigger trend going to be? So if you guys take a look here, right? We are in a downtrend, but we're coming back into a massive, massive demand, right? So if you're looking at the bigger picture, we're coming into where buying ought to start to occur, especially after the selling, coming to a big demand zone, buying ought to occur. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to, but we should lean more so that buying more likely will occur and then it will not. Now, SPY is also RSI was at 29 before we started today. So very oversold as well on the daily. Now let's get into these smaller time frames. As we know, that 414, pretty big level dating all the way back. Let's get down into the 5-minute time frame. So what happened today on SPY and why were we looking at the call side? Well, like I just explained, we were coming down into a huge demand in a oversold territory. So SPY was oversold. We're coming into a massive, insanely massive supply demand zone flip. Today we gapped up, right? So today we gapped up. Now, probably a lot of you joining me are from Twitter, are from Instagram, are from YouTube. And I'm guaranteed that everyone you were following more than likely was saying gap fill, gap fill, gap fill, right? Gaps don't necessarily always have to get filled that day, right? I'm sure a lot of people got burned trying to short into this gap, especially right here once we started to break. But we took calls, right? We went long. Why did we do that? Well, we took our first entry right here when we created a higher low, and then we took our second entry here once we created another higher low. But one thing to keep in mind, When we're looking at SPY, we need to look at levels. So we had this gap fill. What happened? We gapped up. We could not break down, right? So we tried to break down. We pushed up, tried to break down again, tried to break down. We could not break down for over 3 hours into the market. So one of the rules or things I like to use when it comes to trading is stocks will tell you where they want to go more often than not by where they don't want to go. So I'll say that one more time. Stocks will tell you where they want to go more often by telling you where they don't want to go. So in this instance, SPY does not want to go down. It does not want to create that gap fill. More than likely, we're not going to head that way, right? If we keep trying, more than likely, sellers will get overwhelmed by buyers and we're going to get a big push up. Also, think like a market maker. If you see this and all of retail is trying to short into this gap, more than likely, everyone's going to get burned. So start to think like a market maker as well. Not all the time it's going to happen like this, but you have to think all eyes are on this gap fill. We've been selling off. We're in oversold conditions. The trend has been down. You best believe everyone is more likely going to pile in puts thinking this gap is going to get filled and we're going to keep heading down. Retail is going to get absolutely burned in this situation. So to recap real quick, we have this gap up. Great. What happened? We tried going back down, back down, back down. We could not break down into this gap fill, showing us that there is demand. There are buyers showing up. They do not want this gap to get filled, at least for today. Does it get filled tomorrow? Maybe. Does it get filled the next day? Maybe as well. It really just all depends the price action that occurs. But today it did not want to break into this gap fill. Another thing to keep in mind, as I said, what do you know? 414, that massive, massive level that we were talking about, right? 414, pretty big level, dating way far back into March or February of last year, right? Yeah, March of last year. So we could see pretty big resistance, right? 414, 414, 414, right? So 414 is a insanely massive level. And again, we got to look at the higher time frames to see our big levels. Now coming back down to the 5, what is happening when we keep trying to approach this 414? Yes, we do keep selling every single time we approach it. We approach it, we sell. Approach it again, we sell. But as we know, guys, we have to think about it this way. If we're approaching a big level, whether it be a level, whether it be supply, whether it be demand, if it's a huge level, it's going to be well protected, right? So we would more than likely reject at a lower high here. And if it was where sellers are going to overwhelm the buyers, right? If there's going to be more supply than demand coming into this level, we would have an even greater reject. But what is happening in this scenario? We bounce, we can't break this gap fill. We head higher 414. We create a higher low, right? We come back to 414, create a higher high, higher low. So the trend since we sold off in the morning, tested the beginning of this gap fill, tested this pre-market low, to a T, we started to have a trend up, right? This is now trending higher, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, right? So we have a mini trend, intraday trend starting to form right here. And another thing to keep in mind is when we come to these levels, if it's going to be a massive level, we should see a bigger reject. But so what is happening? We're coming up. Yes, we reject about 1.5 points. But then what happens when we come back up? We have an even weaker reject. So when we want to see if a level, whether it be demand, right, for bounces or whether it be for rejects, we want to see big rejects, right? We want to see big moves coming off of this level, whether it be for a bounce or reject. In this case, it was the reject. We want to see big moves happen. So if this 414 wasn't going to break today, more than likely, especially the second time that we go and retest it intraday and it rejects, we should have had a bigger move if sellers were going to overwhelm the buyers and we were going to have that sell off filling that gap fill. But we didn't. We created a higher low in this instance and then finally pushed up and broke out into these highs right into about this 416.67 level. So guys, when we're looking at these levels, you have to keep in mind, how big is that reject? How big is that bounce? That will tell you how strong or how weak that level that we're coming into actually is. So we come in, create a higher low, come in, we create a higher low, right? So that we keep pushing into it, and the selling keeps getting weaker. So selling keeps getting weaker every time we get a push into it. We can't break into this gap fill. Plenty of things showing you that the upside trade was there. The overall macro trend coming into a huge demand, right? Coming into a huge demand. SPY being oversold, 29 RSI. SPY typically gets bounces whenever it has below 30 RSI. Another thing, and here's one of the secrets to trading SPY that nobody likes to talk about. Always be looking at the top holdings of SPY, whether it's SPY, QQQ, whatever indice you're trying to trade, always look at the top holdings of that indice. Apple is the top one, right? So Apple makes up SPY, QQQ the most. We have Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, right? Google. So whenever I'm trading SPY, I have a different chart set up. I'll show you guys here, actually. The TrendSpider is what I use most of you, right? So I have this on another screen that I'm looking at every single day. Don't mind all these levels. They're not really as big as it looked. But we have Apple, Google, AMD, NVIDIA, Amazon, Microsoft, Tesla, Meta, right? Now SPY, QQQ, and then some other individual names that I'm trying to trade that day as well. But I'm always having these top holdings within SPY and QQQ. So I always know what is happening in the market. XLF, the bank sector, is also big to know when it comes to trading SPY. So these are the top holdings. I'll also be looking at XLF, which is the bank holdings that also is good to look at when you're trading SPY. But the point is, guys, look at what's going on in the market. SPY is made up of over 500 different individual names. So it only makes sense that if you're going to trade SPY, you should be looking at the top holdings of it and the tickers that are moving it, right? SPY is not just moving on itself, it's moving because of all these names that are weighted into SPY, that are weighted into the indice that you're trading is moving that indice. It's not the indice that's moving, it's all of the individual names that are weighted in that indice is moving that indice, right? So it only makes sense. Let's look at what Apple's doing. Let's look at what Microsoft's doing. Let's look at Tesla's doing, Amazon, NVIDIA, Google, right? Meta. Apple, Microsoft, my top to look at. I think top holdings, Apple's always the top holding, most heavily weighted. Looking at Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA to see what is going on in the market. Is it strong? Is it not? Now, another thing when we were trading SPY today, I saw on Apple was pretty big level here at 169. Apple was not making a new low. So typically when we see SPY, if SPY was going to go fill that gap fill, right, and create that new low of the day, you're typically seeing Apple, Microsoft also creating new lows of the day, right? Top holdings, typically, especially Apple, Microsoft, are also creating new lows to have SPY create new lows. So I'll say that again. We typically have Apple, Microsoft. The SPY is going to make a new low. We see Apple and Microsoft also making new lows on the day, carrying SPY down, but we didn't see that. We saw Apple holding and bouncing. We saw Microsoft holding pretty big level at 335 and bouncing. Tesla also holding and bouncing. Amazon was pushing up. Google holding, right? Not creating new lows. These were not creating new lows on the day. So with SPY creating a higher low, higher high and higher lows, nice little intraday trend. We're also seeing the market also not putting in a low of the day, right? They're not putting in lows of the day. And a lot of them putting in higher lows. So there are the secrets to trading SPY, and really the secrets to trading any kind of indice. If you're going to trade QQQ, SPY, IWM, anything like that, look at the top holdings, look at the overall market conditions. That will help you tremendously when it comes to trading SPY or any kind of indice on that front. Hope you guys enjoy this. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Please like and share this as well. helps other traders learn. There's a lot of things I feel like I say in my videos that a lot of other traders aren't saying, that actually, obviously I run a community, so I see the results of my teachings, see the wins of a lot of my students. But thank you guys for coming out again. Guys, I believe in every single one of you. I believe that you're going to have an amazing week ahead of you after you watch this video. I believe that you're going to have amazing wins. Guys, you are the best trader that you know, right? You are the best trader that you know. A lot of you just don't know it yet. So let's keep practicing. Let's keep getting better. Let's keep learning. Let's absolutely kill it the rest of the week. I'll see you guys next time. Again, my name is Mr. Banks. Thank you guys for coming out. Love you guys. See you on the next recap.